guest is an extraordinary guy. I only met him a few months ago. He runs a company called Ecotricity. And Ecotricity are based in Stroud, in the west of England, and they are an electricity company. You can just buy your electricity from them in your house in the UK. But they produce all the electricity they can, mainly, in their case, wind turbines. And he's been running Ecotricity for quite a few years now, and he's just started developing a rather amazing electric car. And I do actually get to ride in it in this episode of Carpool. So please welcome into the passenger seat this week's Carpool guest, Mr. Dale Vince. You know, you didn't used to live in a truck.
I did, yeah.
Yeah, because I did, because we did. I lived in a truck.
Did you?
Yeah, no, for 2.5 years.
No way.
Yeah, all over the place.
Yeah, I spent 10 years like that.
Wow, did you?
Yeah, travelled all over the place and built loads of different things. I used to kind of spend the winter in a scrapyard working for parts. So I'd make a lorry or something and drive out in the spring and yeah, travelling around. Oh, do you want to go to the turbine?
Yes, which
this way.
Go to the left. Okay.
Yeah, take the Bath Road.
Right.
So kind of that way and on up.
Oh, that's right. He's doing that way, isn't it?
Yeah.
So I see. So you were. Wow. We should have had you on Scrappy. You'd have been ideal.
I would have been. Yeah.
You obviously spent a lot of time there. Yeah. But I mean, do you have a kind of engineering background? Is that
only by doing?
Right.
Only by doing.
Not trained
no,
or right.
No, I just kind of learned by doing welding and this way.
Yeah, that way.
It's amazing what you can do when you've got kind of no facilities. Pull an engine out of a lorry in the middle of a field in the winter,
yes.
Rebuild it, put it back in with a bolt jack and 10 concrete blocks.
Right.
So, nothing more.
God. But then you were living around this area then when you...
Yeah, I was living on this hill.
Right.
When I kind of had the idea to try and build a big windmill. And it was really just that I had a big old trailer that I'd found in a scrapyard, and I had a windmill on the roof and some train batteries underneath, and I just using lights and stuff like that, just kind of electrifying my life.
Yeah.
At that point. And it made me very conscious of how windy it was wherever I parked. I knew how windy it was and stuff. And I suppose I just had a moment where I thought, 10 years of this, I've achieved a lot in terms of low impact living, personally, but I could do an awful lot more if I tried to build one of these really monster things that were just starting to become possible.
Right.
I'd seen them in Cornwall, the first wind farm in the UK. I went down there.
Right.
I was really inspired, I suppose, by that. And so I said, hell, well, let's do it. Let's try and build a windmill on this hill. And then I just set about learning what that took. And that was the start of the journey about 15 years ago.
Right. Oh, so it's been that you've been at it that a long time then. It's not the last couple of months.
No, God. It took me 5 years to build this first one that we're in now.
Right.
And then the rest all followed after that.
Right. So then, when did you... Okay, keep going straight.
Yes.
When did you set up Ecotricity then? What stage was that? Did that become...
I suppose the first part of the group, Ecotricity became Ecotricity a bit on down the line, if you know what I mean. It was like a name change. But the group began probably back in the early 90s, because first thing I found out I needed to do was have a tower to measure the wind speeds.
Right.
And I didn't have the money to buy one, so I made one. I welded this 30-metre tower out of tubes and flanges.
Right.
I had a lorry with a crane on that I built, and I used that to pull it up.
Wow.
And then that turned into a business, because the farmer wanted one, and then some other people wanted some.
Right. So you literally raise this tower in a field, and then you can, and it would measure average wind speed.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, you do that for 12 months, then you've got yourself some wind data, and it's the basis for your business plan.
Yeah.
So I spent, I suppose, a few years in the early 90s building towers for people like Scottish Power, and I'd run up to Scotland, put them up, and then run back and do some of my own work. And it was starting to pay for me to do the other things, like get planning consent, fight the grid company, and just all this other stuff. And it was kind of process 5 years. So the first part of Ecotricity would have been that part that makes wind monitoring equipment. It still does today.
Right.
And we export the stuff all over the world.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow. That is, from what I can gather, and I'm sure you've got much more knowledge of this and more experience, we are approaching a fairly serious problem in this country with power generation, in that we haven't got enough power stations and they all use coal and oil and or natural gas, and we haven't built enough new ones and we need more.
Yeah, that's generally right, except for the recession coming along, and that's kind of knocked British power consumption down 4 points or something like that.
Oh, has it?
Yeah.
Right. Oh, so that's actually a help at the moment.
Yeah, it helps cool things down.
Yeah.
Yeah, but otherwise, generally, you're right. Yeah, that's I think because the industry was liberalised, it was broken up.
Yeah.
Generators and suppliers and grid operators and all that kind of stuff. It's been fragmented, and the approach has been fragmented. And private businesses don't take long-term views. So how we power the UK in 20 years' time doesn't concern the shareholders of Eon and Power General. Those people, they don't give a shit.
No.
So it'll just be a crisis, probably. I think before something happens.
Yes.
It's probably what it'll take, because the government haven't had an energy plan, really a serious one. For I've never known one in my life. Whichever the government, I've never heard of a serious energy strategy other than let's burn all the fossil fuels we can get.
Let's build an even bigger coal plant.
Yeah, because they'll never run out, will they?
Yeah. It is. When you hear it and you just go, well, no, they must. I always assume
they must have a plan.
It's a thing I'm learning as the years pass. I've always assumed that the man in the suit knows what's going on.
Right.
And as the years have passed, I go, no, the man in the suit knows how much money's in his pension fund and how to claim expenses down to the last cent.
And how to look like he knows what's going on.
And how to look like he knows, but he actually hasn't a bloody clue. So I don't know, I would love to, because presumably you have done it long enough to have done the maths, as it were, to work out roughly.
Yeah, roughly.
I mean, is it? Do you think it's conceivable that we couldn't generate all the electricity we needed through wind alone, presumably, or do you think it is possible?
Right. There's enough wind to power the country 3 or 4 times over. Enough usable wind.
And is that? I mean, because the other argument that does seem to hold quite some credibility is everyone has seen wind turbines not turning, as in on a very still day. So, but is that if you take the whole of the UK and its surrounding sea, is it ever still over all of it at the same time?
Rarely.
Right.
Rarely, but it does happen.
Yeah.
But what's happening is the grid is evolving, and it's going to have to. And at the moment, we have this thing. We enjoyed this energy on demand kind of syndrome where we flick a switch and it all comes, and we all flick switches at the same time. So the grid is capable of dealing with these huge peaks, and then these enormously low troughs.
Yeah.
And to straddle the gap, we have hundreds of different generators that come in and come out.
Right.
And so the people that run the grid have said we could have 20% of that from wind energy without any operational issues at all.
Right.
In some parts of Germany, they're reaching 40%. So 20% is pretty conservative. That's one thing. As we stand today, 30 or 40% is possible.
Right.
But we need to change the way we use electricity on the one hand, and then there are these mass storage technologies coming along on the other hand, which will enable us to make hay while the sun shines.
Right.
Grab wind when we don't use it and release it when we do need it. So it's wrong to try and judge the future by the standards of today's technology.
Yes.
So the grid today, for example, is just pretty old-fashioned.
Yeah. Which way do we?
Sorry. Yeah, it's going to have to change
go
up
to
there.
the right. So that clearly is the very important aspect of it, is how you store those kind of quantities of electricity, which
we're probably 50 years away from. Straight up.
Straight up.
Yeah, 50 years away from being able to power the whole country with renewables, wind.
Right.
If we keep at the current pace, we're probably 100 years away.
Yeah.
And so much is going to change in the next 10 years. We've got some technology we're working on which will change the way houses use the grid, change their impact on the grid. And then you've got this other possibility of 30 million electric cars on the roads, which could happen. All of these have got batteries. They'll all be plugged into houses overnight. Yeah. And they could all be used as a vast distributed battery to give and take from the grid.
Yeah.
So that, night times at the times when there's minimum demand on the grid, if it's really windy, these 30 million cars could all grab power from the grid, and then later in the day they could give a bit back.
Yes.
So so much is possible.
Yes.
And it's just silly to say, well, the grid today can't cope with it. Yeah, of course it can't.
No.
But it ain't going to happen tomorrow.
No.
But there's enough wind to power the whole country 3 or 4 times over.
Right.
And very roughly, 1,000 megawatts, or say 3 to 500 of today's big wind turbines is 1% of the UK. So we're only talking, I can't do maths now. But say somewhere between 100 and 150,000 megawatts of wind, which is probably 5,000 turbines.
Right.
5,003 megawatt wind turbines.
Doesn't sound that many.
The thing about wind energy is it's a distributed form of energy, and so if we go big time down the wind energy route, then we'll probably still use the national grid to join regions up, so that when it's windy in Norfolk, we've got some power in Cornwall or something like that.
Yes.
But we won't need new grid because we'll be generating power close to where we use it.
Right.
And every region in the UK should be able to make its own power.
Yes.
So we'd be connected.
So it should be localised. Yeah. There should be localised sources.
Straight up.
Even though it says road closed.
Yeah, that's odd. It wasn't like that this morning, but let's see.
Actually, this is a regular haunt of yours then to come and check your turbine.
Oh no, I was having to do the photo shoot this morning.
Right.
So that's what I tend to be up there for these days.
Right.
Glamour shot.
I see, there was me thinking I was getting this exclusive. exclusive.
Yeah, I was already here this morning.
But it is, I mean, it's a remarkable, your story is remarkable that that has then grown into, I mean, presumably Ecotricity. I mean, tell you the reason I got in touch, I am genuinely an Ecotricity customer, and I have been for quite a long time.
Oh, that's great.
And I mean, I just did it because, you know, I just thought, so I've got to do this. Is kind of as the truth of all these things was dawning on me, of the kind of, you know, being a reformed, you know, V8 fanatic petrol head, you know, and I just went, no, it doesn't quite do it anymore, you know.
Excellent.
But then to see that you were building an electric car, I went, oh, I like this guy. So now you've actually had a go in it. So you've driven your electric car.
2 days ago.
Wow.
First time its wheels turned on.
And that
track.
was presumably on a track then. You weren't on the
This
road.
was on an airfield.
Right.
Yeah, we took it to a track that night, Snetton in Norfolk.
Right.
And we just had this biblical weather.
Right.
Flooded the track and we couldn't take it out.
Yeah.
So we're going to take it back to the track in 2 weeks' time.
Right.
So we ran up and down the airfield for like a couple of hours.
Right. And it works.
Astonishing.
Oh,
just astonishing. It looks fantabulous, but the way it went was just amazing. Amazing to me.
Right.
I've not been on anything like it other than, have you ever been to Alton Towers and Oblivion, that ride that
No, because I
drops off
can't
a
go on
cliff
them.
of nothing?
Well, I know what you mean, I've seen it.
It's like that. What it does to
Wow.
your stomach,
Yeah.
only it doesn't stop.
Yeah.
It's like it's got this linear acceleration curve.
Yeah.
That's a bad way to describe it, but there's no curve to the power.
Right.
It just
goes
full on.
Yeah, absolutely full on.
It's
And I mean,
like
I don't know what batteries you're using in that thing, because that's the
lithium-ion polymer.
lithium. Are they're not the ones that look like A4 folders?
Yes.
That look,
Yes.
I've seen some of
They're the
those.
biz. They're the biz.
Oh, look at that!
There's that mini-me that we built. Can you see the little one?
The little one down the bottom.
Yeah. It's one of our R&D projects.
That's going like the clappers at the moment.
It is, yeah.
They both are.
Yeah.
And so, this is one you built. This isn't made by Mercedes or Honda or
the big
imported
one.
or yeah.
No, the big one came in from Germany.
That is right.
I did the planning and the civils and the electricals and
Right.
the project management, and then it came like a kit of parts.
Well, we can tell them we're just going to look at the.
Yeah.
Hello there, sir.
This road is supposed to be closed.
I know.
Oh, we've got to get to the windmill here. This is our windmill.
This is his windmill.
I don't care whose windmill it is. It's my road. But,
Is it?
You know,
Is it?
I pay for it through my taxes and whatever. But yeah, if you could, what I'm telling people, from 9 till 4, if you can come the other way.
Oh, is there another way up? All right. Well, we won't be coming back.
From
Don't worry.
Limpsford way.
Right.
Otherwise, we got to keep moving it away.
All right.
Well, we can get through. We can get through there now without
Yeah.
interrupting
Yeah.
you. All right. Thanks. We won't piss you off again. I promise. Ever.
right, then.
Ever.
Cheers.
All right. Take care.
Thank you.
Well, there you go. You just met the man that owns the road.
Yeah. This is my road. I pay the taxes. And how tall is that tower then? I'm very bad at measuring.
40 metres.
Is it right?
Yeah. When we built it, it was the biggest in the country. We've built them now.
Quite
80
scary,
metres.
actually, when you see this. It's such a big thing to be moving, isn't it?
It is actually.
So I mean, because that's the other argument I've heard, is that they're only operating a third of the year. But would you say this is
Well, that's bullshit statistics. That's badly presented truth.
Right.
And it's so badly presented it becomes untruth.
right?
What it is, it's an expression of load factor. And the load factor of something is its theoretical maximum work it can do in a year. And you divide into that what it actually does. So the load factor of a wind turbine, it depends on the wind. So down here in England you might get 25, 27%. Up on the coast you might get 30. In Scotland you get 40%.
Yeah.
And all that means is if that's a 500 kilowatt wind generator, you multiply 8,760 hours in the year times 500 kilowatts, and you say the maximum this machine can produce in a year is a big number.
Right, I see.
But it actually produces about 30% of that. And people say, oh, that means it's 30% efficient. No. Or it only works 30% of the time. No. To me, it
Right.
means something really else. If you work out the load factor of your car, you'll come up with a figure of about 2%.
Right.
So it's kind of bullshit
Right,
statistics.
I see. So it's a very because what it's doing is now it's very likely doing probably
Flat out.
as flat out as it can do.
Yeah.
But the other day it probably wasn't turning that fast, but it was still generating electricity, and probably 90% of the time it's up, it's turning in some
Right. But
way.
there's a big old power curve with wind energy because there's a cube law relationship in it. So the 500 kilowatts up here at 20 miles an hour, and then the time you saw it, maybe it was
Yeah.
5 miles an
Yeah.
hour, and maybe it was like 10 or 20 kilowatts.
Right.
So there's a big difference.
Right.
But it's generating all the time.
Yeah.
By the way, load factor of a nuclear power station is about 50%.
No one ever says that.
They don't say that. And the same with coal and gas. They're about 50%. For other reasons, economic reasons, they turn them on, they turn them off according to what the grid needs, blah, blah, blah.
And then 50%. Presumably the maintenance.
Is. So here you've got nuclear power, which is like rocket science technology, and we think it's ultimately controllable and fantastic, reliable and amazing 50% load factor. We've got a windmill that relies utterly on the weather, 30% load factor.
Wow.
It's not bad.
Not a bad payoff. I mean, what level of maintenance does this tower need then? What have you got to do to keep it going?
I suppose we spend about 2 days a year coming up here and checking things and
You're kidding. 2 days a year. So you don't have to go up and grease a nipple nut?
Yeah, we go up,
Right.
We go up and do stuff.
And you go up there outside?
Yeah, this one is.
Can I not do that?
Yeah, okay.
I don't want to do that.
It's fun in the storm.
Oh, man. That is even because I know that isn't as big as some of the really true, but then they've got internal
now.
things,
Yeah. The ones we're building now are twice as big.
Right.
80 metres tall.
Wow.
And that's quite a climb.
Yeah. And
they have lifts in them actually.
Do they? Right. Yeah. I still don't want to go up it. I've got as the years have passed, the vertigo's really kicked in. But then, what was the local reaction to this then? The locals around here. I mean, did you have resistance to it?
In this village up here, yes, and in the rest of the town and the district, no.
Right.
But it's kind of the nature of the beast that people that are against something make all the fuss. They form pressure groups and they write letters and stuff.
Right.
And people that aren't against something, they just shrug them.
Yes, they're not bothered. Right. But since it's been up, has anybody gone, actually, I don't mind it?
Yeah, actually, I was wrong.
Yeah.
There's not been a lot of that. We've got to go back to the early 90s as well. You've got to remember, I was a hippie living on this hill.
Right.
So they hated the idea of hippie travellers.
Yeah.
And then along comes this idea, I'm going to build a big windmill. They're like, well, who's ever heard of that? Do you know what I mean? And how's this man going to do it? He's got no money or anything. And so put all that together.
Yeah.
And, it's just, and they were dead scared that what I was trying to do, get planning permission to build a house here, which of course they're dead against. You can't build houses near where we live, kind of stuff. All this kind of ignorant, NIMBY, narrow-minded kind of stuff. And then so they said, it'll kill 1,000 birds a year, it'll ruin TV signals, it'll wreck house prices. There's a poor man living on the edge of the village, and they told him it was going to interfere with his pacemaker. He got so angry, he came, knocking on the door of the office, and we nearly had to call the police. And it kind of nearly was a self-fulfilling problem. It's just wrong.
And have you ever found a dead bird at the bottom?
No dead birds, no dead people with pacemakers.
Right.
House prices haven't changed. All the stuff they said didn't happen here. But there are not a lot of people queuing up to say we were wrong.
Yes. No.
I think they're just quietly shameful.
Yeah. So now tell me about your car then. Does that do regenning and all that stuff?
Not yet, but it's easy to program because it's just a matter of software.
Yeah.
The motors themselves can do it.
Yes.
So we've left it off just for now while we get the basics right.
Right.
Speed and handling and stuff like that.
Because that is one. I'm sure you know, but I'm just going to say it because it was a thing that I was hugely relieved when I realised that the Tesla does. When you take your foot off the throttle, the brake lights come on.
Yeah, oh right.
Because the regenerative braking is so brutal, you go like that, you get a real jerk off it, and of course, you haven't put the brakes on.
Yeah.
I mean, in the sense that there has been a certain amount of, not spirit. He didn't slow down a bit.
I don't think he did.
It was fantastic.
I wonder what happens when he meets the owner of the road.
Yeah. That was quite extreme.
We should go back and film that.
Yeah. The technology that you're using in your electric car is essentially not new. What's new is the batteries and possibly the control mechanism, the computer.
And how good it all is, how good the motors are.
Yeah.
It's the latest version of an old technology.
Yes.
Get that.
Yeah.
This part of the plan in building it was to say, look, we're just a tiny little electricity company to Ford and General Motors and all those people who may still exist in the world.
Yeah.
And we've been able to build this car with technology that exists in the world today.
Yes.
And we're not talking about waiting another 10 or 20 years for fuel cells and all this other kind of stuff.
No.
If we can do it, why can't you do it? That's what we set out to do.
Yeah.
We reckon on 250,000 miles from our components
Wow.
in our car.
Yeah.
Motors have got one moving part.
Yes. Exactly. That's it. One moving part.
No clutch, no gearbox.
No. Jesus, this has got to be tough as guts to live around this. This is a tough part of the world.
It's a bit scary.
You're obviously a real man to build a wind turbine around here because it's amazing you survived long enough to get there.
Yeah, that's true.
So I mean, what are your plans now? As Ecotricity, are you putting in lots of wind turbines all the time?
Building windmills as fast as we can.
Oh, so do you call them windmills?
I do, yeah.
Oh, brilliant. Because I've learned to say wind turbine, trying to be really
hard,
proper.
isn't it?
Yeah, I think they're windmills.
That kind of work, does it? No, they're windmills. So we're busy doing that, recruiting customers as fast as we can, because the more bills we have, the more mills we can build. That's how it works for us. And then we're building this one car. I think we're going to build a few more now. We're working on a plan to put some charging posts by our wind turbines that are on the motorways and stuff.
Right.
So the one at Reading.
Oh, that's one of yours?
Yeah, that's ours. And the one in Norfolk on the A47. And we're working with Roadshift to put windmills on those motorway services. And our plan is to build a national network of wind-powered car charging posts, so that everybody can have a wind-powered car.
Yeah.
Because we've done a lot of number crunching, and if you live in a town or any kind of built-up area, you're not going to need a garage or a charging facility most of the time. Most people, something like 70% of people have got off-street parking.
Yeah.
And 95% of all journeys are less than 100 miles.
Yes.
And 150 miles is easy from an electric car today. So we're not going to need garages and stuff like that. There'll be a bit of supermarket.
As in like filling stations.
Yeah. So, but where you'll need them is in between towns.
Yeah.
So a national network is what we're going to need, and we've got this vision of wind-powered national networks of quick charge posts. We're just starting to work on it. Well, and another great myth is that we couldn't all have an electric car because there's too many of them, and where would we get the electricity from, and the grid couldn't cope and all that kind of stuff. So we crunched the numbers around that, and there are 30 million cars on the road in the UK, and we drive 150 billion miles a year, all of us just running around.
Yeah.
We burn 25 million tonnes of oil in the process every year, which is quite crazy.
25 million tonnes.
And then we calculated the electricity equivalent to drive 30 million EVs, 150 billion miles.
Right.
And it's equivalent to 12% of the energy delivered through the national grid today, or last year. 12%. 12.
Because I was assuming it would like triple it.
Yeah, people think
we'd
it's a
need
vast
3
number.
times
No,
more.
12%. And the grid, before the recession, the demand on the grid was growing by 3% a year. So it was only 4 years natural growth. And then factor in the fact that all of this charging would take place at night off peak, when the grid is at this trough point. And so actually it would improve the load factor of the grid, our old friend load factor, make it more efficient. You wouldn't need to build new grids, and it would just make the grid more effective.
Yeah.
Bob's your uncle. And it would take take about 5,000 modern wind turbines to produce that much energy onto the grid. So we did the end-to-end calculation. How feasible is it? And we even looked into the world's supply of lithium. There's enough lithium in the world.
Yeah.
We think there is.
I know you'd be backed up by a very well informed former Carpool lead who was just the one I didn't realise is it's in the sea.
Yes.
Because people go, well, you can only get. I'll do a quick Clarkson. They can only get lithium from a mine in Bolivia. No, if you go down to Brighton, you can get it there. It's so. It also sounds to me like you have a good time at work.
Yeah.
And I got the impression, just from seeing you briefly, that you don't get up in the morning going, oh, I've got to go in the office.
No, I don't do that. Most days. Some days I go,
I'm sure. No, absolutely, everybody does.
Today's my first day in the office this week, actually. Very unusual week. That's because I was in Norfolk driving a car.
Right. So how many wind turbines have you installed to date in this country?
It's about 50 odd.
Right. So that's quite good. And they're big fellas.
Big. Yeah, they're all big. They're all bigger than that one.
Right. Because at the moment, it does seem to be, I don't know why, but every time I hear about a wind turbine, they're always made in Germany. Is that the main
Germany or Holland?
Right.
Denmark.
Oh, right, because Denmark have got a lot, haven't they?
Yeah. Germany have got more. Right. I think 10% of Germany already comes from wind power, maybe even 12% now.
Wow.
They're just...
And they haven't got a lot of coastline, so they're putting them inland then, presumably.
Well, they haven't got a lot of wind.
No. Oh, right.
Even though they've got a lot of land. We've got 40% of Europe's wind here in the UK. And the Germans, I don't know if they got...
We've got 40% of the available usable wind in
the whole of Europe. What do we do?
Let's not have too many of those windmills, because that might work. Let's get another coal-powered fire station. We can never say that. It's the most annoying term. It's the best reason to get rid of them, because you can't say it.
Back in the day, back in the early 90s, or maybe it was mid to late 90s, there was this group that started up, and they were called the Country Guardians, and they were like a coalition of NIMBYs against wind energy, and they were run by Bernard Ingham, Thatcher's old press secretary, and in his day job he was PR advisor to British Nuclear Fuels or British Energy, one of the nuclear guys, and he always used to deny there was any link that he was in his day job promoting nuclear and in his part-time denigrating wind. That's the closest I got for a conspiracy theory for you.
There's no link.
There's definitely something in that.
Yeah. Well, that is so. I do want to thank you on behalf of my carpoolers. to take the time out of your day. 'Cause I know you.
No problem. It's been fun being out in Starbuck with you.
Yes. If only. If only I could get a green Starbuck.
Only.
I'm working towards it. I have to say, that was, to get 4 of us in that fucking car was not comfortable. No, we had to take the seats out. It's the only way we could get in.
Is that right?
Oh God, yeah. I mean, they're totally, you know what they're like. I knew. That's brilliant, though. Thank you so much.
You're welcome.
Thank
My
you.
pleasure.
It is extraordinary.
So who said electric cars were quiet?
Yeah, yes, exactly. Yeah, all that nonsense about. Carpoolers, it's very hard to describe what that feeling's like. Like, if you can hear me over the whine, we're driving along in a silent electric car, which is such a. But it really has the whole feel of it is that it's like. It's ready to go. It's nice. And I have people, when you've sort of been out in it and stopped, have anybody come up and said, what the hell is that? I mean, you've had people ask, I'm sure.
Yeah. Gets people going. Surprising reactions as well.
Yeah.
Positive.
Yes, I would think so. I would think so, yeah. That is a brilliant thing. Actually, I'll tell you what that reminds me of a bit, is a train. It's like a, you know, that it's got that sort of, well, like, actually they don't make that sound anymore, but when I was a kid, underground trains did that sort of, but not that. Jesus.
And then we couldn't get Red Dwarf away in London, and Rob and Doug had tried to get it away elsewhere, and I tried to get it away and we couldn't. So I took it to Peter and said, you know, what about that pot of money you got there, Peter? And that's how we made it. So I got it in.
Wow. So it's all down to Ben Elton. I've got to
Yeah,
carpool Ben Elton.
it is Ben Elton. Red Dwarf was originally gave birth as a project called Ben Elton Series 2.
I didn't know that. That is interesting though.